Did you know in Scotland there was an innocent man who was accused of murder, sentenced to death, and spent 18 years in prison? December 21st, 1908, Marion Gilchrist was found savagely beaten on her dining room floor. She was a very wealthy recluse who had never gotten married. She was 83 years old. She lived with her maid, Helen Lambie, in a flat in Glasgow, Scotland. The front door was the only entrance. Marion was a creature of habit, so every evening at 7 o'clock her maid would go out to get the evening newspaper. Miriam had an affinity for jewelry, and she purchased quite a bit of it. She kept it in the house, so she was quite vigilant to make sure the doors were always locked. Although Marion was not very social, she did have an agreement with her downstairs neighbor that if she knocked on the floor, he would come up and assist her. A few minutes after 7 o'clock, Mr. Adams, the neighbor, heard a thud and 3 knocks. He went upstairs, but received no reply when he rang the bell. His sisters encouraged him to go back upstairs and try again. He still received no reply. It was about this time the maid showed back up. She unlocked both locks and they entered the hallway of the flat. Mr. Adams says Helen went into the kitchen and he had to prompt her saying, "Where is your mistress?" Helen says she was at the front door the entire time. Now, both parties agree that a man came breezing by them out of an extra bedroom and down the stairs. Mr. Adams eventually found her bludgeoned in the dining room. Neither of them knew the man. There was one piece of jewelry missing, a diamond and emerald necklace. The police also discovered a box pried open in the extra bedroom where the man had emerged. One of Glasgow's most prosperous citizens had been murdered. The police were under great pressure to find the murderer, and fast. They asked the public for help. They said the man was 25 to 35 years old, 5'8" to 5'9", clean shaven, with an overcoat and hat.
I'm sorry, what?
Come on, that could have been this guy. They also described the necklace that was taken. A few days later, a bicycle salesman told the police that a man had approached him asking him to buy a pawn ticket. It was for an emerald and diamond necklace. The police had other information coming in quickly. Mary Barrowman, a 14-year-old errand girl, claimed she had collided with a man in the vicinity of the victim's flat. She also claimed she saw him leaving the building. What she definitely remembered was the man had a bent nose. At least 12 people came forward and said they saw a man watching the building. This was just during the few weeks before the murder. Police now had 3 eyewitnesses of the man leaving the building. They also had 12 eyewitnesses of a suspicious man watching the building in the weeks prior. In the meantime, the police went to the pawn shop and discovered the identity of the man who had pawned the necklace. They discovered it was irrefutably not Marion's necklace and had been pawned a month prior to the murder. Despite no evidence at all that this man was their suspect, the police decided he was the man. The man and his girlfriend had taken the Lusitania to New York just a week after the murder. The police gathered up the 3 witnesses and made a rush dash for New York with them. Their suspect was arrested when he got off the ship. At the extradition hearing, the suspect had no worries going back to Glasgow to face his accusers. When he arrived in Glasgow, there was a huge crowd. Word had gotten out. At his trial, the 3 eyewitnesses seeing him leaving the building were presented. The 12 witnesses of the man who had been looking at the building were also presented. None of them, except the 14-year-old girl, could absolutely say that he was the same man. This was despite the fact that all of them had either seen his photo in the newspaper or had already been presented with his photo by the police. The 14-year-old girl later said she did not identify him positively, but that the police had pressured her into saying she did. One detective saw the injustice of the entire trial and spoke up. He was immediately fired. Others were taking notice as well. After being found guilty in 1909, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, author of Sherlock Holmes, came to the man's aid. It was not until 1927, 18 years later, that the man was released. He was never exonerated. The man was Oscar Slater. This case changed the entire judicial system. There is now a sheriff's appeals court. To this day, this case has remained unsolved.